On a crisp October day in 1955, a whirlwind of rock and roll history began unfolding across Texas and Oklahoma. It started with a simple yet audacious plan to drive back to Amarillo just halfway and honor a legendary figure who would change the face of music forever, Elvis Presley. This wasn't just any trip, it was a pilgrimage for fans who had just caught a glimpse of the king of rock and roll and were hooked. The journey would be filled with unforgettable moments, fan encounters, and glimpses into the early days of a music icon. It all kicked off on October 11th in Abilene, Texas. Two enthusiastic fans, Elsie Medlin and her friends, were at a local radio station, listening to music as they usually did. But this day was different. Three mysterious men walked into the station, one of them sporting a purple suit and red socks, Elvis Presley himself. Alongside Scotty and Bill, they were promoting an upcoming show at the Fair Park Auditorium in Abilene. The girls, intrigued, followed them to the Stale Motel, starting a fan club on the spot, armed with homemade club cards. The next morning, Elsie and her friends turned into fanatic drivers, chasing after Elvis in Valerie Harm's turquoise T-Bird. They finally caught up to him at the Stamford coffee shop, where Elvis was enjoying breakfast. What ensued was a series of playful interactions, autographs, and a bit of teenage charm that left Elvis amused and impressed. He even signed every fan club card they showed him, turning a simple meet and greet into an iconic moment. That night in Abilene, Elvis took the stage at the Fair Park Auditorium, drawing an electrified crowd. The show was nothing short of legendary. Elvis's energy was contagious, and his performance left the audience screaming for more. But it wasn't just the music, it was the raw talent of a new star shining brightly. Johnny Cash, also performing that night, was among those mesmerized by Elvis's presence. The following days took this fan journey to new heights. On October 14th, the group drove to Amarillo, but not without a nod to Elvis' legacy. Driving halfway back to Amarillo showed how deeply they were under his spell. The next stop was Lubbock on October 15th, where an afternoon concert awaited, but Elvis had more to give. After the show, he embarked on a long drive north, heading towards Oklahoma City, leaving behind fans who felt privileged to have crossed paths with him. This wasn't just about attending concerts, it was about being part of something bigger, something that felt personal and transformative. For Elsie, Jane, and Valerie, it was a chance to be part of rock and roll history, to meet a star who was reshaping music and culture. Their adventures, full of fan club antics, close encounters, and unforgettable moments, painted a vivid picture of the early rock and roll scene. Elvis Presley's tour and performances were more than just shows, they were experiences that left lasting impressions on everyone involved. From Abilene to Lubbock and beyond, his influence spread far and wide, capturing the hearts of young fans and fellow musicians alike. This journey through Texas and Oklahoma in 1955 was just the beginning of a legacy that would change the world of music forever. In the autumn of 1956, Elvis Presley had become a national sensation. His music filled radios across America, and fans were eager to catch a glimpse of the charismatic young star. Jane and Elsie, two devoted fans from Stamford, decided to make the long journey to Dallas to see him perform live at the Cotton Bowl. They knew it wouldn't be easy. Elvis was a huge star now, and the crowds were massive. To get close to Elvis, Jane and Elsie reached out to the Stamford fan club. Since they were among the original fans, the club officials let them in on a secret. They could watch the show from backstage, right behind the curtain. It wasn't the best spot, but it was a chance to see Elvis up close. As they arrived at the Stoneleigh Hotel in Dallas, Jane and Elsie tried to blend in. They didn't know where Elvis was staying, so they came up with a plan. They would ask around and try to find out. But first, they ran into Scotty and Bill, two of Elvis's friends. Scotty couldn't tell them where Elvis was, but Bill had an idea. He suggested they stay at the Stoneleigh Hotel, hinting that Elvis might be there. The girls checked into the hotel and acted like they didn't care where Elvis was rooming. They knew he was probably busy performing, so they hatched a new plan. They decided to hide in a room service cart and hoped to catch a glimpse of him when he ordered food. But just as they were about to give up on that idea, a well-known actor named Nick Adams approached them. He claimed to be a fan and offered to take them meet Elvis. Curious and excited, Jane and Elsie agreed. Nick took them to Elvis's room, and when the legendary singer opened the door, he was overjoyed to see them. "I can't believe you came all the way from Stamford to see me," he said, grinning from ear to ear. The girls were starstruck, and Elvis invited them to join him in his room for a chat. As they settled into the overstuffed chairs, Elvis and his friends reminisced about the changes in the music world. DJ Fontana and Hank Thompson joined them, turning the room into a mini celebration of country music's golden age. Elvis even joked about his new manager, Colonel Parker, suggesting the Colonel was probably counting money downstairs. The evening was filled with laughter and nostalgia. Elsie and Jane shared their excitement about Elvis's recent success, including his appearance on The Dorsey Show in New York. They sent him a telegram urging him to hurry home and telling him to leave those damn Yankees alone. It was a heartfelt message from fans who were deeply invested in his journey. Months later, Elsie and Jane had one last encounter with Elvis. He had just been drafted into the army, and they tracked him to his parents' rented house in Killeen. When they arrived, Elvis was waiting in a red Lincoln convertible. He invited them inside, where they talked about his army life and the advice his father had given him. Just as they were leaving, Elvis learned his mother had passed away. It was a tragic moment, and the girls never saw him again. Elvis's rise to fame was meteoric. In November 1955, he was already a national sensation. The Louisiana Hayride Show, a popular country music program, was set to broadcast live from Gladewater's high school gym. The event was a big deal, with everyone in East Texas eager to see Elvis perform. The show had already drawn huge crowds, and the anticipation was electric. Elvis had recently signed a new recording contract with RCA, securing his future in the music industry. His song Heartbreak Hotel was about to become a huge hit, and the excitement was palpable. As the show approached, the town buzzed with activity. People came from far and wide, drawn by the promise of seeing the country music king in person. Backstage at the Gladewater Gymnasium, Elvis sought refuge from the chaos. He slipped into the radio station KSIJ, where Tom Perriman kept the fans at bay. Elvis loved this quiet spot where he could relax and be himself. He'd practice, read comic books, and even hid from his secretaries when he needed some peace. One day, after a particularly rowdy show, Tom Perriman asked Shirley, one of Elvis's secretaries, to watch the dressing room while he was performing. Shirley was shocked at the idea of staying alone with Elvis, but her employer convinced her it was necessary. For a while, Shirley protected Elvis's privacy, even when it meant dealing with the chaos of excited teens eager for a glimpse of their idol. On the night of the Gladewater show, the gym was packed. Teenagers filled the seats, and the atmosphere was electric. As the performers took the stage, the sounds of beer and merriment filled the backstage areas. Even Horace Logan, the MC, couldn't resist a drink or two. Despite the mayhem, Elvis remained focused, ready to give his fans the show of a lifetime. These moments captured the essence of Elvis's early stardom, a whirlwind of excitement, fan adoration, and the raw energy of a young man on the brink of greatness. For Jane, Elsie, and countless others, Elvis was more than just a singer. He was a symbol of hope and dreams, a reminder that anything was possible in the world of music. In early 1956, things were heating up for Elvis Presley, but not just because of his music. Let's take a closer look at what was happening in simple terms. Elvis was on a roll with his music, but he was still learning the ropes of being a big-name star. He went into a big, not-so-glamorous recording studio for RCA to make his first official set of songs. It was very different from the fun, relaxed times he had at Sun Studio. RCA wanted Elvis to stay still while he sang, but Elvis was used to moving and dancing. It took a few tries to get good recordings. They even had to change the room so he could move around while recording. Elvis and his band, which included Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana, Floyd Kramer, and the Jordanaires, worked hard to learn new songs. They recorded some hits like Heartbreak Hotel and Money Honey. After a tough day, they started a long tour with Hank Snow, a well-known singer at the time. This would be Elvis's last tour with Snow, as things were about to change. In January 1956, Elvis and the group traveled through tough weather to play shows. They faced freezing temperatures and icy roads. Elvis decided to drive by himself, while others traveled in different cars. Hank Snow, who was supposed to be a mentor, didn't really care about Elvis's rising fame. Snow had more control over the show schedule and didn't want Elvis headlining. This led to some tension. During a stop in Wichita Falls, Texas, the cold was intense. Elvis and his band faced a difficult journey, with roads slick from black ice. They shared stories of their rough rides to the show. When it was time for Snow's set, the crowd was not happy. They wanted to see Elvis. The crowd's dissatisfaction grew as Snow's performance went on, with boos and even some throwing of pennies, a sign to leave. Snow, frustrated, left the stage. Just then, Elvis walked on stage, fresh from the journey, to much cheering from the crowd. Snow tried to regain control but couldn't. The crowd chanted for Elvis. Snow had to leave, but there was a funny twist. Elvis's manager, Parker, offered Snow a deal on his shares in Elvis's career, but Snow didn't care, as he never made any money from Elvis's earnings anyway. Around the same time, a big issue was brewing in the country. Senator Harry F. Byard was urging southern states to resist integrating schools, following the Supreme Court's decision in Brown v. Board of Education. This decision said that separating students by race in schools was wrong. It was a big deal, and many people, especially in the South, were not happy about it. Back to Elvis. After the incident with Snow, Parker booked another show for him in Wichita Falls, this time with Elvis as the main act. The show was a success, marking a turning point where Elvis started to shine on his own. This was a crucial moment in his career, showing that he could carry a show without the support of more established acts. Elvis's journey was just beginning, filled with more music, more tour, and more changes. From these early struggles and triumphs, Elvis would become one of the most influential figures in music history. His story is one of perseverance, talent, and finding one's voice, even when the path wasn't clear at first.